everybody, glad you're here. This is the Chase Squirrelson Show, and I'm your host, Chase Squirrelson. And if you're listening right now, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Today's episode is one of those conversations that starts simple and then goes somewhere interesting. So let's jump in. Hi, everybody. Kind of excited about doing today's episode because I think almost everybody with ADHD can relate to it. It starts with a really kind of a question. There's, where did I park my car? So I'm kind of calling it the ADHD parking lot Odyssey, a modern wilderness survival story. If you're the kind of person that loses things and then spends 20 minutes wondering if you ever owned them in the first place, you're in the right spot. And so today, again, is something that I think many of us can relate to. It's about something deeply human and deeply frustrating. And if you're like me, basically a full contact sport, which is finding your car in a parking lot. The joke is that a normal person parks a car, but an ADHD person creates a vague emotional memory, a false sense of certainty, and a 27-minute walking loop past the same dented Toyota 3 times. The thing is, I don't forget where the car is. I remember it in a way a dream remembers a location. So maybe it was like near a tree. I'm pretty sure there was a shopping cart there, the return barn or whatever you want to call it, or I parked by a light pole. But then was that last Tuesday I did that. I know I made a smart choice at the time when I parked it. And that's funny because every parking lot has trees, light poles, cart returns, and regrets and finally despair. There are few moments in adult life more humbling than confidently walking to where you believe your car is and finding nothing but strangers and a Honda Civic that, like my mother-in-law, is judging you. I don't lose my car. It's definitely somewhere. I just temporarily expanded the search radius. That's very different than losing it. I always begin with confidence. I come out of the store like a conquering hero. No problem. I remember exactly where I parked it. 7 minutes later, I'm wandering through rows F through K, clicking my key fob like I'm raising my paddle at an auction. At some point, it stops being about transportation. Now it's a man versus self story. First comes the confident arrival. So I'll start at the beginning, because the beginning is where all the mistakes are made. I pull into a parking lot, whether it's Target or Costco, some grocery store, it doesn't matter. I'm calm and I'm focused. I'm temporarily a functioning adult. I think I'll just run in for one thing, and that's actually the first lie. I park, and now here's the critical moment. This is where normal people and ADHD people diverge into two completely different species. Normal person, they park. They glance around. They take a mental note. It's row C near the cart return, third light pole. Maybe they even, God forbid, take out their phone and drop a pin or take a picture. They walk away like professionals. ADHD person, not so much. I park. I immediately see a weird shopping cart with one broken wheel. I see a guy arguing on the phone. I see a cloud that actually represents, seems like a portrait of Abraham Lincoln. And suddenly I'm thinking about whether Lincoln would have had ADHD. And just like that, I leave my car without ever registering in my mind where it is. Then comes what I call mission drift. Now I enter the store. I was supposed to get milk, maybe some eggs, and a dish soap. But then I see a seasonal aisle. It could be Thanksgiving or Christmas. And now I'm holding a decorative lantern, 3 kinds of snacks, and a product I don't even understand, but I feel emotionally connected to. 45 minutes later, I've lived an entire life. I've had 3 internal debates, 1 philosophical crisis, and a moment where I considered buying something just in case my future self needs it. And now I head back out, confident and victorious. I'm now carrying 7 bags for what was supposed to be a quick trip. Then comes, of course, the exit into confusion. For me, I then step outside, and this is where it begins. I walk into the parking lot, and everything looks the same. Every car is gray. Every row is identical. Every light pole feels like it's mocking me, and my brain goes, okay, no problem, I remember where I parked. But I do not remember where I parked. So now comes the first guess. I confidently walk in a direction. This is not based on logic. This is based on vibes. I think it's probably over here. I pass rows of cars. I start clicking my key fob. Nothing. I click again. Nothing. Now, finally, a small doubt creeps in, but I suppress it because confidence is all I have left. Then comes what I call the loop of denial. I turn around, I walk back, try a different direction, and keep clicking the key fob. Now I'm doing something interesting. I'm not actually searching anymore. I'm hoping the car reveals itself. If you're like me, if I just walk confidently enough, the car will respect me and appear, but it does not. Then, of course, the situation escalates, and now my internal dialogue changes. The first part of it is, weird. Second, I'm saying something like, okay, maybe I parked further out. Then comes, did I park in a different section? And finally, did I drive here or did I Uber? And this is the moment, the existential moment where I genuinely consider, is my car gone? Was it stolen? Then comes, of course, the investigation phase. Now I become like a detective, a bad one. I start scanning license plates as if one of them will suddenly say, hey, it's me, my car. You look at similar cars. I approach one. I get closer. I think, that might be it. I click my key fob, crickets, and I walk away quickly, hoping no one saw me almost break into a stranger's Honda. Then what comes next for me is the key fob symphony. Now I start clicking my key fob repeatedly, aggressively. Click, 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 click. I hold it down. I lift it up like it's going to get a better signal. I point it like a weapon. At this point, I'm no longer looking for my car. I am performing, and I notice that people are actually watching me. They don't know what I'm doing, but they know it's not working. Embarrassed, I then pretend that I'm not looking for my car, but simply strolling through the parking lot. And really, what's painful for me is the social awareness. Now I become aware that I've been walking in circles. And there's a woman loading groceries, and she has seen me pass 3 times, and she's thinking he's either lost or planning to do something to me as she fondles her keychain mace dispenser. I make eye contact, and I nod as if to say, yes, this is intentional, and I know what I'm doing. Then comes what I would call the ADHD realization, and now it hits me. I never made a memory. I never marked the location. I never was really present at the moment I parked the car. Yes, I was physically there, but mentally, I was designing a podcast episode about squirrels running a government, and now my past self has betrayed me. Then comes what I call the deep thought, or the classic chase turn, because this is where it gets interesting. This isn't about a car anymore. This is about attention. ADHD isn't just a distraction. It's selective engagement. If something isn't emotionally, visually, or intellectually stimulating, my brain doesn't store it. So parking your car, that's not very exciting. It's not urgent. It's not meaningful. So my brain says, let's not record this, and now I'm paying the price. Then comes what I call the wandering phase. Now I've accepted my fate. I start walking slowly, no longer pretending, just wandering, clicking the key fob occasionally like a lighthouse signal, hoping for a response. And then I hear it. And that is the honk, a faint beep. And then I freeze. Was that it? Or was that someone else? I click again. There it is. A distant honk. Now I become a hunter. I'm triangulating, moving closer to the sound. Click, honk, closer, click, honk, closer. And finally, there it is, my car, which then, of course, is the reunion. I walk up to it like I've just found a long-lost friend or my dog. I open the door, I sit down, and I take a deep breath, and I drink in victory, but also confusion, because deep down, I know that this is going to happen again. The next phase for me is fake scientific laws. So let's break this down scientifically. Law number 1, the memory void principle. If I do not consciously mark where I parked, that memory does not exist. Law number 2 is the confidence collapse curve. The longer I search, the less confident I become until I really question reality itself. Law 3 is the key fob illusion. Repeatedly clicking does not improve location accuracy, but dramatically increases emotional urgency. And finally, Law 4, the observer effect. The moment someone notices me wandering, my behavior becomes 40% more awkward. Then comes another segment, which I call solutions or sort of solutions. Can this be prevented? Yes. I could take a picture of my parking spot. I could drop a pin on my phone. I could say out loud, row D near the cart return. Will I do any of those things? Probably not, because in that moment, I will once again believe I'll remember next time. And once again, I will be wrong. The final segment is the bigger idea. But here's the real takeaway. This isn't failure. This is a pattern. My brain prioritizes what matters. It chases novelty, the dopamine hit. It seeks stimulation. And sometimes that means losing my car. But it also means creativity, curiosity, and maybe even unexpected connections. So yes, I may wander a parking lot, like somebody waking from a coma, but I also see things others don't. I'm making light of all this, and I must, or else I can go into a real shame spiral. So I joke about it to myself. I say things to myself like, I've hit the lock button so many times my key fob files a harassment complaint. At a certain point, I'm not looking for a car. I'm reenacting a low-budget survival film. I start out like Sherlock Holmes and end up like a confused raccoon. Every parking lot section has a name like Blue Jay, Cactus, or D17, but that doesn't help me. The moment I think the car was stolen is always 5 minutes before I find it. And I never remember where I parked, but I can somehow remember a disastrous play from Game 5 of the 1984 Chicago Cubs playoff against San Diego. At that point, I walk back to where I entered the store, like maybe the parking lot reset itself. The panic really kicks in when I see someone else clicking their key fob because now it feels competitive. You ever look for your car so long that you start bonding with other lost people? I have. The final insult for me was spending 45 minutes one time looking for my car and suddenly realizing that I bought another car, which I seldom drove. Yes, my car was right where I remembered parking it, but I did not recognize it. And this has happened to me more than once. As a matter of fact, it happened to me this morning. But the adventure is not necessarily over when you find your car, because now comes the moment of truth. Do I return the cart like a civilized human being or push it gently and hope physics takes over? The ADHD brain says, I'll just leave it here for 2 seconds, and the cart begins a slow-motion journey toward a nearby BMW. I whisper to God, take the wheel of this cart before it does any damage. Then there's also the phantom damage panic, when you come back to your car and see a mark. And I say to myself, was that there before? I crouch, inspect, and touch it like I was a crime scene investigator. And it is my custom to leap to the worst-case scenario. This could ruin me financially. 5 minutes later, you'll find out that it's just dirt. And then there's what I call the endless loop, exit signs. Parking garage ramps plus ADHD equals a psychological experiment. I followed the exit sign, and now I'm on level 5. Why am I ascending? I want to leave, not meet God. Next comes, I'll just sit here for a second trap. I get into my parked car, check my iPhone for 10 seconds, adjust the radio, think about the meaning of life, rehearse the conversations that I regret from 1987, and 45 minutes later, I'm still parked, engine off, life on pause. Then, of course, there's the trunk surprise episode. I open my trunk. Why is there a gym bag in there? Or why are there 3 reusable grocery bags from 2022? And then did I buy the bananas? No, I didn't. Those bananas are now a historical artifact. There's also a wrong car attempt. I confidently walk up to the car, pull the handle, and it's locked. I try harder, as if that helps. I hit the unlock button aggressively. Then I look inside, and someone is sitting there staring at me. I say something absurd like, sorry, ma'am, I'm just checking security here. You're okay. Then, of course, there's the parking meter time warp. I'll just run in for 5 minutes and, of course, return 47 minutes later. The ticket is already printed as if it knew me personally. Then, of course, there is the perfect spot obsession. I pass 12 open spots because I can get closer, period. Now I'm circling like a hawk waiting for someone to leave. I'm now emotionally invested in spot 3, like it's prime real estate. Then comes the exit walk of shame. I forgot where I parked. Let's be honest, ADHD plus parking lots is not a minor inconvenience. It's a full-blown psychological thriller where I am both detective and the suspect. So instead of generic advice, here are practical field-tested strategy that actually work in real life, not in theory. Number one would be eliminate memory. Don't improve it. The biggest mistake is trying to remember better. ADHD brains don't fail because of intelligence. They fail because of working memory inconsistency. So the rule becomes, if it lives in your head, it's already gone. So what is a practical fix? The moment you park, externalize it immediately. I say out loud, okay, level 2, blue section near the elevator. Then lock it in with one of these. Take a photo, drop a pin on my phone, or even send myself a text, and that actually works. Number 2 is I use my phone like a weapon, not a distraction. My phone is either my enemy or my co-pilot. So what are the best methods I have found? I use Apple Maps, Google Maps. I tap parked car location. There's camera trick, take a picture of the car, the row marker, it could be beep 12, red zone, etc., or something distinctive nearby. Then, of course, there's the voice memo. I am parked near the cart return, row 17, next to a white truck. Why this works? I'm using multiple inputs, visual plus auditory, which ADHD brains retain better. Also, I can anchor to something obvious, but actually strategic. Near the entrance is useless. Every entrance looks the same after 45 minutes. Instead, I use anchor objects, like a cart return, light pole number, a very weird tree, cracked pavement, that suspicious van you'll remember forever. Then I upgrade. I pick something slightly odd or emotional. My brain remembers those things better. I can also turn around and look back. This one is criminally underrated. Before I walk away, turn around, look at my car from the direction I'll return. Why it matters. My brain encodes return perspective, not departure perspectives. Another rule, park like a psychopath on purpose. Stop trying to get the best spot. ADHD-friendly parking is about consistency, not proximity. So for me, I try to always park in the same zone or the far edges of the lot. I prefer end rows, corners, or next to big landmarks. The translation, I'm reducing the search area from 300 cars to maybe 20 cars. Another rule for me is build a 5-second exit ritual. I make this automatic, like locking my front door of my house. It looks like this. I stop, I look around, say the location out loud, I take a photo, and that's it. It takes 5 seconds to do that, but saves 15 minutes to an hour later on when I'm wandering like a ghost. Another rule for me is use pattern-based thinking, and which is really an ADHD strength. ADHD brains are actually great at patterns, not random memory. So I create one. Grocery store, always park on the left side. The gym, always park near the back row. In the mall, always use the same entrance. Now my brain doesn't need to remember, it just follows a rule. Then, of course, I do have an emergency recovery plan. This is when I've already forgotten. Because let's be real, I will forget. So when I'm lost, number 1, don't panic wander randomly. Number 2, go to the last entrance you remember or most likely zone based on habit. And 3, use my key fob and walk slowly. Hit unlock and listen for click or the horn. Walk in systematic rows, not chaotic zigzags. The real insight here, and this is the game changer, parking lot problems aren't about parking. They're about transition moments. ADHD brains struggle when switching contexts, like driving to shopping. So my goal is to insert structure into the transition. So that's what all these techniques are doing. So next time you can't find your car, don't panic. Just remember you're not lost. You're exploring. And eventually the key fob will trigger the honk. This has been Chase Squirrelson Show, where losing your car is just part of the journey. If this episode hit home, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to someone who'd get it. You can follow the show, so you don't miss the next conversation. And if you feel like it, a quick rating helps the show a great deal. Either way, I appreciate you being here. We'll talk soon.
This podcast is for informational purposes only. The content reflects personal experiences and opinions and is not a substitute for professional medical, psychological, mental health, or legal advice. Flint Rock LLC, the hosts, and guests make no representation or warranties and assume no liability for decisions or actions taken based on this content. Always consult a qualified professional regarding your own situation.